up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're Drive-in Theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Yo, dudes. What's up, dude and dudettes? It is Monday night. You are tuned in to the Drive-in Speakerbox. I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Jake the Grip.
And, if you guys are tuning into the podcast, however it is you're listening to us, we thank you. But if you're not watching the live stream on our Facebook, our Twitch, or the YouTube, we invite you to do so. You can join the chat wherever you stream our show, and everybody can talk together. It's actually pretty fun. So Facebookers can talk to Twitchers, can talk to YouTubers, and vice versa. It's a really exciting time to be alive. We're going to be up here for the next hour or so, as we always are, talking about the world of movies, as we do. Obviously, movies are still trickling back into theaters, and starting this weekend, we're actually going to be seeing a lot more movies in theaters. Snyder Cut's coming out this weekend, not in theaters, but it's coming out. A lot of people talking about it. Early reviews, positive. We'll talk about that later in the show. It's starting to come back. So, thanks for joining us. Let's see.
It said something about the King Kong vs. Godzilla. That one doesn't come out till the end of the month.
Yeah, that's the last week in March.
So we'll see what we think about it once we watch it.
Yeah, I everybody's so excited about it except me. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not there yet. I don't know. The Vince says, I heard heard Snyder is hosting the Snyder Cut on Max. HBO Max is definitely where the only place I think this weekend where you're going to be able to get the Snyder Cut. I don't know about a theatrical release, even though they had been talking about it.
Yeah, it was in the talks, but they hadn't said anything the last couple of months about it. So.
Yeah, it's going to, radio silent. I think HBO Max is really just kind of waiting to see what happens with that. And once they get, more data on it, then we'll probably see. But who knows? Let me see here. I'm running a little bit behind today, so I don't have all my pieces of paper and stuff in front of me. Let's see here. What's going on in the comments?
Tony wants us to watch it on Twitch and pretend we're playing Injustice. No way, man. Injustice has way too cool of a storyline to be the DC movies, man.
Do you play Injustice?
Hell yeah.
I mean, I thought that was just like Mortal Kombat, but with DC characters, right?
It is, yeah.
Oh, well then how does that have a storyline?
The Joker sets off a nuke in Metropolis, murders Lois Lane and Superman's newborn baby that he had just had. So Superman goes nuts and murders Joker, and then he becomes a tyrant over the entire world. But they find a way to get injected with Superman powers, so everyone's nearly as strong as Superman, so they can all take the extreme punishment dealt by top-tier heroes. And Batman and them lead a resistance against Superman and Flash and Cyborg and all of that.
So everybody's like a bad guy?
No, dude, half of them are good guys. There's the resistance portion of it, but they have to collect heroes from the other universe to come help and fight them and all that stuff too. Because
Well, I like how they explained away
it's basically Mortal Kombat because there's two realms.
That if anybody was up against Superman, they'd die instantly. And they're like, well, not with magic Superman juice that the Joker released.
No, Superman's the one that gives them the super juice because he wants everyone on his squad to be able to murk out all of the heroes because he becomes, king of the world or whatever, super evil about the whole damn thing, and. It's pretty good, man.
I'll have to try it sometime. I don't know. I don't really like fighting games.
We get to play as Lobo in the first one if you got the gold edition.
Why don't you get to play it in the second one?
Because in the second one, you get Ninja Turtles.
But But Lobo instead of Ninja Turtle? Why can't you have them all? Like
you get Raiden and Sub-Zero
2021.
and Ninja Turtles.
Wait, why is Raiden They already have their own fighting game.
Right, but have you ever played Mortal Kombat versus DC?
Why don't they just make one fighting game where it's everybody against everybody?
They do. It's called Mugen.
What?
Yeah.
So Mugen, you can play like RoboCop
We've talked about that on this show.
Versus, Peter Venkman.
You can play
versus...
any character that someone's created a sprite for the game.
Fighting games are so weird.
Fighting games are the best.
So weird. Vince asked, I was confused because the topic didn't change. Oh, crap. We forgot to change the topic on. Yeah, see, I'm falling behind today. You can update the titles. It's over on
We can
Restream.
definitely talk about
you can
coming to
update the
America,
titles.
coming to America again.
Damn.
Let's talk about sexual chocolate.
Always something that I'm forgetting in this. I was just in a hurry. I was next door working on a pinball machine, and I just forgot to update the old titles. I'm not on my A game tonight, guys. I'm still sitting here desperately figuring out like what we should talk about, and of course the big news that everybody was kind of bitching about this past week, of course, Netflix talking about password sharing, cracking down on that, and getting mad at people that aren't paying for their own account.
Yeah, I can't believe that this service that charges you money for their service is going to be like, well, what if we just read the IP addresses?
Yeah. How dare you do the thing that you probably should have done the whole time.
You can, if you all still want to have the same Netflix account, they offer different tiers that have 2, 3, 4 subscribers.
Now, this is one of those things that I admittedly get on the side of Netflix for. And it's one of those conversations where people are like, oh, I just don't understand. Like, if someone's paying for it and we pass it around, it's like, well, that's still theft, man. I mean, it's still, you're paying for viewing rights of these things. That's the problem. That's the thing with art and music and movies, and why piracy in Hollywood was such a big problem for a long time, is they're like, well, who cares if I download it and watch it? It's like, well, a lot of people that get paid to make these things, and it's not just big Hollywood producers, it's people like us that also get screwed by people pirating movies all the time. And I've always had this very staunch stance about when is it okay to download and pirate a film? And generally,
when it's not available in your country.
Well, yeah, when it's not available in my country, or if a movie was, and this was before the pandemic, and it's like if we weren't getting it in our theater and I needed to review it, then I would find a copy online somewhere. But generally, like if it's, if I wanted to rewatch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids tomorrow, I probably wouldn't pirate it. I'd just go, if it wasn't on a streaming service, I'd rent it for like $3.99 on whatever.
Yeah, Johnny's hitting us with that old ad campaign. You wouldn't steal a car, and it was like the black and white shaky cam.
I don't know, a lot of people would.
Why steal movies? They used to run that at Suncoast all the time.
They did.
It would crack me up.
Well, and Vince says as they raise prices every week, they crack down. And again,
Maybe they're raising prices because they're not making the kind of money for how many people are watching it.
And, maybe they're raising prices because they're literally the only place producing new content constantly to meet the demand of people wanting new content. And they're making, big Hollywood production budget. They're a studio now, and they're still relatively charging within a handful of bucks the same price as when they started. And that's the thing. It's like Netflix is now a studio, and if they're not putting their movies in the theaters to generate box office revenue, they're just putting it out there so you can go, oh, I saw that, next. It's like, they gotta get their money from somewhere, and that's all your fault, guys. It's everybody's fault.
Well, it's our fault. I think we broke the time continuum. We got Johnny coming in with an ad campaign from 2000, and Vince coming in with Yakov from the 80s.
In Russia, movies download you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yakov Smirnoff. He's still got a theater in Branson.
Did he? They got rid of the original one though. The original one closed several years back.
I've still driven down that interstate and saw Yakov's big like ceramic head on the back of that building, being like, if you follow his career, it's really Yakov Smirnoff is a really fascinating dude. If you catch him, like, because in the 80s he was like the king of his game. He was just like the dude, and back when it was really funny and acceptable to laugh at culturally appropriated stereotypes.
He's the dude. So he goes like, in Russia, that's just like your opinion.
And man, or comrade. Yeah, I don't know what your problem is, comrade. Yakov was cool, and then he opened his theater, and he like fell from grace, and then he found this place in Branson, Missouri, where he could continue to like reign supreme. But he knew, if you go and watch these interviews with him from like the early 2000s, where he's just talking about. He's still a hilariously smart writer, but he's just like, dude, this is where I knew that I was done, but I still wanted to have a career, and it was gonna be this. And smart dude. Yeah, he's a dude, you're a dude, she's a dude, everybody's a dude. Let's see. Question for you there, Jake.
Yeah. Have I seen that there's a Yasuke anime being produced by Netflix with Flying Lotus on the soundtrack? I haven't. I'm assuming when we say Yasuke, we're talking about the man who was in Sengoku, Japan, and they recently have a bunch of, like, a big old book about him, and there's very little known about him, so I don't know how they made a big old book, but he was a black man in medieval Japan who fought with samurai. Is that the same Yasuke we're talking about? I hope so.
I mean, if Flying Lotus is on the soundtrack,
cool figure in history right there.
Sounds like it might be.
I really need to get that book. I want to get that book. I meant to, and I forgot about it. So thanks for the reminder on that.
Let's see other things that are going on in the.
Carl said, "Not that I'm a weeb. I don't watch anime. Bo's actually our anime watcher." But I do know medieval Japanese history.
He's like, I don't watch anime, but I can recite every episode of One Piece, Initial D, everything Miyazaki ever made, all of this other anime-related materials. I can tell you about all this stuff, Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, all the things.
I never liked Samurai Champloo.
But did you watch it?
No, I watched like 2
Then how do you
episodes
know that you never liked it?
Because I tried to watch it before.
Oh, I see.
Oh no.
Or Lupin the Third.
That's not anime.
All right. I rest my case. There it is right there.
Certain animes that aren't anime. Like, Metante Conan, Lupin the Third.
Full Metal Alchemist.
No, that's for nerds and weebs.
No, dude. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's pretty dope. If you've never seen it, it's pretty awesome.
Nah, I'm good.
Oh, what else?
What's this about? Party Down. Oh, they killed the revival
they killed
again.
the revival again.
Why do they do this to me all the time? Have you seen Party Down? Have any of our viewers watched Party Down? It is amazing.
I have not seen it. Another thing I was going to mention, just very briefly, because I'm not a big fan of award shows, but the Oscar nominations for 2021 have been announced. Of course, right after the Golden Globes, which are Oscar light, and they are as predictable as you thought they would be, because there's very few movies that came out, and they're Best Picture, The Father. Getting good reviews. Actually, you can go see that in theaters here locally right now. Judas and the Black Messiah, it's out right now. Mank, I don't think that's playing anywhere here. Minari, which is playing here and actually was shot in the Ozark area. Nomadland, which is on Hulu, I believe.
It's a movie about Arkansas, and they actually filmed
in the Ozarks. I don't think they filmed it in Arkansas, but yeah, in the Ozarks. Promising Young Woman, which I think is still out. Sound of Metal, which I think is still out. And The Trial of Chicago 7 were your nominations for Best Picture this year. And yeah, there you go. My God, my face is just, I don't know what to do.
You know what? Since we don't really care about the award show so much, they've already been hyping up the diverse choices that they've made, so that the Oscars can get back on everyone's good side and get back to having all the Oscar parties and get those eyeballs on it. Steven Yeun has been nominated as Best Actor, and the dude who played the bad guy in the Venom movie, I can't remember what his name is. He's been nominated. So they're the first Asian American and
Venom
Muslim to be
in a year where, and probably everybody's gonna get mad about it. And I know what they did it. They're like, well, no one's really looking at this year. Let's just go ahead and nominate everybody that everybody wants us to nominate. And then next year when they don't, everybody's gonna get mad.
They're bad people, and
because it's a dumb organization and it's a dumb award and it's always been dumb. There should be no governing body that tells you what is better than something else, especially in the world of film and art and all whatever, dude. The Oscars are bullshit. Let's see. Johnny says the AVN Awards has a new category for best socially distanced scene. I don't think that's true. I think that may be just a joke. But your AVN Awards, I haven't been. Jake, you fill us in. You keep up with the AVN Awards pretty regularly, right? I'm not sure what they are. If you could, if you could tell us more about the AVN Awards.
You got me, dude. I don't like award shows, man.
I just thought it was like a foreign film thing. I don't know. I don't keep up with
it's for all of the foreign films.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like Vince said on Twitch, he said best foreign scene. Who knows? Oh, let's see here.
Best foreign scene.
What is going on in the world? Everybody's talking about the Snyder Cut. It's coming. It's coming this weekend, right? Thursday.
Yeah, we get the Snyder Cut on the 18th, and everyone that watched Tom and Jerry the other day can get the rest of the movie that they didn't get to see. But now people have reviewed it. They've had people actually review the movie, watch it, and review it. And they're largely positive. There are a few people who said that they still didn't like it. They felt that it was too long, that the fight scenes didn't fit in this movie and could be in some others, and that it still wasn't really their cup of tea, basically is what it boiled down to. But then there were a lot of people who were like, yeah, this is way
what it should have
better.
been, yeah.
And they said that particularly you get actual characters out of the characters, primarily Cyborg, who unfortunately
pretty much got cut from the first movie.
Got booted out of DC completely here recently when they fired him from The Flash because he opened his mouth about his mistreatment at the hands of Joss Whedon, who a lot of people, as we've talked about, have come out recently and been like, oh yeah, that dude sucks to work with. And the other big wigs at DC, he said that Snyder is a cool dude and the rest of them are buttholes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now they don't let him in DC movies, so we'll see how that goes now that we have a solid Cyborg character. He'll probably just get Dumbledored.
Now, is it the same Cyborg? Because it's been so long since I've seen Justice League. It's not the same Cyborg in Doom Patrol.
No.
Then use him. He's great.
Yeah, they could bring that actor in. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think he's fantastic.
Or just age him and have Kari Sane, or no, that's not his name. Kari, that's a wrestler. Kairi Sane. What's the dude that does Cyborg's voice for all of the cartoons? Kari.
I don't watch anime, dude.
He's in some show where he has like dreadlocks, like Walking Dead or something.
Johnny Das, did y'all watch the Batman Bat in the Sun video? Michael Madsen plays Harvey Bullock.
Yes.
The short film.
Dying is Easy. Yeah.
Dying is Easy, yeah.
Doug Jones showed up in it as the Riddler, and I got very excited to see Doug Jones actually in anything because he's always the best. Bat in the Sun is always great. All right, take that back. They always have great costumes.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And it's amazing to see how far technology and costuming and DIYing has progressed in the modern era of fan films and short films and all this kind of stuff, when before, making a cool rubber armor suit was something that you'd only think would happen on like a multi-million-dollar budget movie.
Yeah, but then you see those movies and they never do the costumes. They're like, oh, well, the costume just wouldn't look right and it doesn't really fit with the movie. It's like it fits with the fucking comic books you're basing it off of. And then things like Bat in the Sun are like, well, here's a live action with the real costume and it looks really good.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, why not just do that?
Yep, because
well, I think it would be dumb for people to wear costumes in the real life scenario. Yeah, it's kind of dumb for people to have fucking superpowers in a real life scenario. Like, put the damn costumes on them.
put the damn costume.
Well, that's like
on.
so. Today they showed a picture from the Snyder Cut with the whole lineup, with 5 of the 6, everyone but Superman. And Batman's wearing heavy armor. Wonder Woman has armor. Cyborg is made of armor. Flash even has armor for some unknown reason.
Fast armor.
Yeah, because they were like, oh, but what if Flash had armor plates? Kind of like in Injustice. But it's really dumb looking. And then Aquaman has his aqua armor, kind of, I guess. Has scales. But the whole thing is like they all have armor on, and it's like, yeah, instead of a costume, just say it's armor, because talking about things
you're
like
doing superhero stuff,
samurai stuff and everything. Yeah, people that wanted to stand out had big fancy man armor on and everything. Just do it like that. Pretend like
showboat
it's
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong
if you're
with
gonna
that.
come out to the battlefield, you got to peacock just a little.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, in real life, knights and samurai and all these people, they were like, I'm gonna show out. Because
I mean, why not?
I'm a dandy man.
If you got it, flaunt it, right?
Yeah,
That's
then
the
they come
whole
out
point.
Yeah, chop people's heads off and whatnot.
Mm-mm-mm.
You know what's a good comic book live action fan film that does justice to a character costume that they would probably never do in a live action, but really need to?
I don't know.
Lobo.
I'm pretty sure we have episodes of this conversation
Because it's awesome.
You're not wrong, and it goes back to something that you were saying earlier about like why do these people think that costume this real? It's the producer, it's the studio heads taking control of a project, and they get from talented crew members and directors and visionaries that are trying to do this thing, and then they go, well, actually our spreadsheet says that testing between audiences that are in the Detroit area from the ages of 26 to 32 are not going to like armor that's pink or orange, so you gotta, and it's like, dude, this is
give me pink armor. I'll wear it.
But this is how dumb they drill down this data to try and anticipate trends, right? And so that they take away creative liberties from I mean, that's how the Zack Snyder cut is a thing now, because they were just like, nope. And before the Snyder cut even got released, the studios were like, yeah, we have no interest in this. It's not our thing. It's too long. It's going to be stupid. And all the reviews from people that give a shit about like DC are like, this is exactly what we wanted. Like, what's the problem?
Actually, talking about that, Johnny said Space Karen, funny enough, for Slate magazine, I guess, website. Now, Karen Hahn, in her review of Snyder Cut, said a movie with a clear director's touch is more compelling than a movie that's been made by committee. So that was her saying of watching the Snyder Cut, where the one director had he had control over his vision, instead of all the suits and Joss Whedon and all the DC head honcho butthole guys came in and they each tried to stick their finger in the pie a little bit. Instead of that, there's one gloved hand serving the piece of pie, that it tastes a lot better and it's not tainted. And that's the way a lot of movies really should be.
Tainted butthole pie.
Yeah. Especially Joss Whedon with his dirty butthole fingers. But instead of...
Hey, shout outs to Pie Day, which was yesterday.
But you have these... you hire a director because you want their vision translated to screen, and then once you have that director, you have I guess a bunch of
their
producers
crew
and stuff, and they come in and like, well, why don't you just change everything?
And the worst thing, and it's really bad with network television and other stuff like this, but when you have executives come to set and They're just running around on their cell phones and laptops, not looking at anything. And then at the end of the day, they're like, no, I don't like that. Change it. And you're like, well, why didn't you say it at the beginning of the day when we were getting ready to light this and shoot this and went to this location? You're too busy on your laptop answering emails about something that totally was not even related to what we're doing today. And then, but since you're executive butthole, then we have to do what you say. And then they ruin everything.
My favorite part of every documentary that talks about some movie that's very popular and well loved, and a classic film that's always something that people latch onto, like when we watched the Galaxy Quest documentary, and there's others like that. They're like, oh well, the producers wanted this, so we said okay, and then behind their back we were like, nah, screw that, and we did it our way, and that's the part that everyone likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how it works, because producers don't know shit. They're just money people. They're just money people. They go, I want everybody to think I'm cool because I'm doing this, and I'm rich, and I'm going to make more money off of doing this. That's all producers are for the most part. There are occasionally really good producers that are out there that have the connections to get things done. I mean, that's why they exist. They are there to connect dots, to build bridges, and to make things get paid for. That's what a producer does. And the more they pay for things, the more they want to control things. And most producers always want to be directors, but they're not good at being directors, so they hire directors, and then they can tell the directors what to do because it's their money. And that's the problem with producers, man. It's just they're shitty directors that can't direct but are rich. So anyway, good, wise advice on Facebook from Billy, talking about pie. If you guys need some pie advice about getting your hands dirty,
seems like some Army Hammer type shit, right?
Eat
there.
somebody. What kind of pie are we talking about? The old humble pie. But yeah, producers, man, they well, I mean, look at Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2. One of the most infamous sort of producers ruining everything.
You talking the Key and Peele skit?
No, I can't. Oh, well, yes, I remember that now.
Where Jordan Peele comes in and he's like the crazy producer. Like he comes in, like they brought me in. He's like, let's hear out all your ideas. We're just brainstorming. And they just like, the dumbest idea ever. Yes, love it. Can't not have it in the movie. It's in the movie. They're like, I thought we were just brainstorming. He's like, nope, can't undo it now. And everyone gets their dumbass gremlin in the movie.
Well, and that's pretty much, the story, it's kind of a... This is, again, before all this stuff became commonplace in movies. Like Joe Dante, he made Gremlins, and Joe Dante was a very respected guy back then for his artistic creativity and for doing things that were a little bit different and doing things his way, and then them working. And when the success of Gremlins happened, it was because Joe Dante got to make the movie that Joe Dante wanted to make. And then Gremlins 2 came around, and he's like, well, I'm only going to do this if you guys will let me do kind of like Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3.
I was about to bring up Spider-Man 3. I was waiting for you to finish talking about Gremlins. That's exactly where I was going to go.
But he was like, okay, I'll do this if you just let me do the movie that I want to make. And they're like, oh, yeah, of course, absolutely. And then they start production. And they're like, actually, and Joe Dante's go, what did I say? What did I say? And they go, well, we're the producers. And he's like, fine, fuck it. Y'all make the movie. And he was a notorious asshole the whole production. And anything that they were like, you know what? And he's like, fine. You know what? Fine. Let's just put a camera on it. Fuck you. We're gonna make your dumbass movie.
And that's exactly how Spider-Man 3 worked, because Sony had signed friggin' Sam Raimi to like a 5 or 6 picture deal, and they got to the third one, and they were just like that meme where Q is just in Picard's ear, and it's just the most uncomfortable thing ever. Mm-hmm. And that was the producers in the studio on Sam Raimi, and he's like, I'm gonna sabotage this fucking movie so hard, and he just made the worst movie that he could absolutely make, and it turned into Spider-Man 3. He's like, you still want to bring me back for 2 or 3 more movies?
And they're like,
and they're
we're
like,
good.
Yeah,
we're good. Thanks.
No, that's okay.
Thanks, Sam.
He just straight up like just sabotaged his whole movie so he could get out of it because he hated them so much.
And I mean, that it just raises such an interesting question. Dan just on the comments laughing, quoting me on the producer line, and Dan works in the industry. He knows how this goes sometimes, and why not just, that's why you hire a director, and trust your director. He's gonna get a crew that he likes. He's gonna get a DP that he likes. He's gonna get an AC that he likes. He's gonna get a gaffer that he likes. He's gonna get all these people that he likes,
cinematographers, and
to build this crew to make this thing the way that it should be made. And there are certain circumstances of when production has to come in and change things. Like, for example, True Detective Season 3, which was shot here, very famously went through several directors because the writer had a vision, and the first season went really well, and he had his crew, he had his team, but then he wanted in Season 3 to hire this new director who was, hadn't really made a splash yet, which means affordable, and had really, really good, gritty visual style and pacing style. He had done Blue Ruin, he had done Green Room, really, really cool movies. But the difference was he worked on an indie film pace. It's like you've got a budget, you got a ragtag group, you can, you want to do an 18-hour day. Okay, you're gonna dead roll on a tape deck while you've got a Hollywood A-lister sitting here in the trailer waiting, just burning daylight. He could do that on those indie films, but not on an HBO big production where you had to deliver all of these episodes in a reasonable amount of time. So he got fired from the production after 2 episodes because he was taking too damn long. And it wasn't because his vision was wrong, and they weren't trying to tell him what to do. The only thing they were trying to tell him what to do was hurry up, and he couldn't deliver, so he got fired. So that makes sense.
Or likely knowing the kind of crews that come around here, they're like, oh, can we get the hell out of this state, please?
Oh yeah, a lot of them were like that. But that's what a production, they keep your hands out of the creative side. Keep the timetable, crack the whip, do that kind of stuff. But when you're like, you know what, this scene needs more Lamborghinis. Can we just get more Lamborghinis and put it in here? Because my buddy over at the Lamborghini shop, I told him I'd scratch his back. So stop what you're doing, more Lamborghinis. But this is a movie that takes place in, Mexico City during the 1800s. Don't care, Lamborghinis. And it's just always something stupid like that, which now I want to see a movie set in the 1800s in early Mexico City at the dawn of, that whole industrial upbringing, and then there's Lamborghinis everywhere, and then on like Aztec temples, like going, and that would be, dude. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey, what's CGDCT anime?
CGDCT.
I don't know. It's something Vince typed in there, and I have no idea what.
I'm not the one wearing Japanese characters on my T-shirt.
It says Nissan, bro. It's a car thing.
I don't know what it says. It's in Weeb.
It's not in Weeb?
Yeah. I don't know what it says. Anyway, so let's see. Billy says, don't care, more Lamborghinis. Yeah, that's going to be on my epitaph. On my epitaph a long time ago, when funny story about my epitaph, I had always planned on having, Dan Robinson says, good luck finding a producer. Blake says, do you mean any Fast and the Furious movies? Yes. And somehow they managed to strike gold with that more Lamborghinis mentality.
Yeah. What's wrong with Fast and Furious movies?
I don't know. But now that I'm thinking about it, more Lamborghinis does. What was the movie that we were watching the other day? Was it with it? Were those like all those gold dipped cars that were?
It was the Jackie Chan movie.
Yes.
Were there the security
Legionnaires
force?
or
No.
Freedom Town?
No,
or
Legionnaire is a freaking Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, that was, and that it actually came out in the theaters and on DVD at the same time. Blockbuster exclusive.
The Jackie Chan movie we went and watched.
It was like a command.
It's on demand right now.
Yeah, but they had all those like gold dipped cars, and it was just like more Lamborghinis. So let's just put them in there.
They're like, well, what did he do with the money? And they're like, the cars are the money.
And it was like solid gold.
But the thing about the Ferrari was still red. They're like,
Vanguard.
even though it's gold.
Yes,
there it is, Vanguard. They're like, even though it's gold, the Ferrari still has to be red. Vince said that the CGDCT is cute girls doing cute things. That's like our show, guys. Yeah.
CDT, cute boys doing cute things.
Sure. Yeah, whichever one works for you, man. It's 2021.
But my epitaph, before I forget, the Billy says Police Story 8, Rush Hour 4, The Goldening. That's a movie that needs to be made. What was there a Rush Hour 3? Yeah, I guess there was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it has the dude from Last Samurai that hits Tom Cruise in the face.
Yeah.
And he was the He was the
I
bad guy
forgot he
in
was in
On
that.
Myoji.
Yeah, I forgot. I
Yeah,
totally
because he
forgot
goes
about
up
Rush Hour
against
3.
Abe no Seimei, and he thinks he's a hard ass, and
I wanna-
Seimei's like, "No, dog, I'm On Myoji." Magic.
I need to watch the Rush Hour trilogy. I need to just do a back-to-back double viewing of
Rush Hour 3's the one in France.
Shanghai Days or Shanghai Nights, and then Shanghai whatever the other one was, and then Rush Hour. Just Jackie Chan buddy
Shanghai
movies.
Noon, and then Shanghai Night.
Shanghai Afternoons.
Shanghai Nights has Donnie Yen as the bad
Yes, it
guy.
does. Shanghai Nights is. I don't know about karate, but I know about crazy.
And then it has Oliver Twist in it. And then, yeah, dude, you got Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3.
Maybe not 3. Maybe not 3. Anyway,
3 doesn't 3 have Christopher Plummer in it or something, like as the bad guy?
I mean, Christopher Plummer's always the bad guy in something eventually. Isn't he not? Like, he's always a bad. He's like, sometimes he'll just show up and you're like, oh, it's probably his fault. And he's the bad guy.
Vince blocked the bot coming in and spamming.
Awesome. Thanks
Thanks,
Vince.
bro.
Yay, mods. But no, my epitaph, like, when I was younger, I had always said that I was going to put on my epitaph the guy that never watched Titanic, because for years for years I was like, I'm never going to watch that movie. I don't want to buy into the hype. I'm sure it's fine. I'm just going to be I made the decision that I wanted to be the guy that had never watched Titanic. And for years, and there was like, no, just watch. It's really good. Here's the double VHS. Just put it in there and watch it. And I was like, I don't want to sit through 2 VHS tapes of Leonardo DiCaprio. Maybe Billy Zane.
I was about to say, dude, it has Billy Zane.
Maybe Billy Zane.
And it has, what's her face from Misery.
Well, Kathy Bates.
Thank you.
And to me, the idea of sitting through 2 would be like Kathy Bates putting a 2x4 between my ankles. And
it has Bill Paxton.
I know it has Bill Paxton. But I had made that decision. I said on my epitaph, the guy that never watched Titanic, the one guy. And then it got re-released on its like 20-something anniversary, remastered theatrical release, and I was like dating this girl at the time who was like, you gotta go see this in the movie theater with me or it's over. Hindsight 2020, it ended anyway. I probably should have just stuck to my guns and not went and saw the movie.
Did you not like the movie?
It's a great movie, but now my epitaph is ruined.
Yeah, but you got to see Billy Zane be a big old butthole man.
Yeah, be the guy like all the rich people at the vaccination clinics.
Let me
like,
in, it's my child.
It's my child. Oh my God! You know, it's funny that the Titanic meme started to come in real hard at the end of the pandemic, because I was making the Titanic jokes about the pandemic at the very beginning of the pandemic, and it's finally good to see people caught up with that. What do we got going on in the comments here? Vince says, I remember when that came out on tape, it was everywhere. They had garbage cans full of tape that the double VHS Titanic, man, it was like, whoa, 2 cassette tapes, whoa,
such a long movie. It's like that and Dances with Wolves were the only 2, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It was a double VHS.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, it was.
I was watching something the other day, and something hilarious happened to a car, and they were like, "What is this, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?" And I lost it, and everybody was like, "What's so funny?"
You were watching Herbie Reloaded?
No,
for like the 100th time.
No, you like Herbie Reloaded?
No, you do. I know that you do.
No, I don't like Herbie Reloaded. I don't like Herbie anything.
Listen, everyone on the show knows that we're real tight homies, and we know things. And I'm sorry that I just called you out on your
on
jam.
my love for Herbie.
Yeah, you watch it and Bumblebee back to back now.
No, if Bumblebee had actually been a Bumblebee and not like a Mustang, then maybe.
It's a Camaro.
Whatever.
But in the Bumblebee movie, they make
Camaros.
They make him a Volkswagen in the Bumblebee movie.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Well, now I might need to have to see
Acting like you ain't never seen it.
I ain't never seen it.
Has that girl from the True Grit remake that should have never happened?
Oh, that was bad. I saw
John
that in the theater
Cena?
too.
Oh, hey, you know what?
Herbie 3, more Ferraris. Yeah, where Herbie is just a Ferrari.
Talking about reboots, like
more
Herbie the Love
Lamborghinis.
Bug that should have never happened. You know what else?
What?
They just announced that they cast the new main character for the Wonder Years reboot. You can't
So, are
do
you-
Wonder Years without Fred Savage.
So are they going to reboot it in the sense that it's going to be another show about that time period, or is it just going to be 20 years from now? So it's just going to be a show about the 90s?
I don't know.
Because you realize that when the show was made, originally, it was only 20 years in the past.
Yeah, that was the formula for shows. Happy Days was in the 70s, about the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
That 70s show was in the 90s, about the
70s.
Yeah, Wonder Years was in the 60s, took place in the
80s.
80s. Yeah.
So now it's going to be...
And then they tried that 90s show,
Ew.
or that 80s show, after that 70s show had success, and nobody wanted to watch it.
Nobody wants to see that. But I think that this is a really good transition to talk about the one movie I did watch this weekend, which I'll do a quick review of. It's called Kid 90. I watched this film.
I watched it yesterday.
You did? So you watched it.
You recommended it to me.
So speaking of 90s nostalgia, everybody Soleil Moon Frye has been on the tips of people's tongues a little bit lately because she is rebooting Punky Brewster for some uncalled for reason. Oof. And
After that whole documentary, too,
exactly.
I was like, I like Soleil Moon Frye because, I mean.
And, the whole documentary would make me think that she would want to get away from Punky Brewster for the rest of her life. And then it's like hot off the tails of this documentary. It's like rebooting Punky Brewster starring the OG Punky Brewster. But
no, she's not because they cast.
No, she's Punky Brewster playing Punky Brewster. It's her.
Well, who's the new little girl in it then?
Oh, that's her daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, she's in her 40s now, and she's like, Punky's still got it. And she puts on the mismatched shoes in the trailer, and she's like, still works. And I was like, that only worked when you were 7. Why are you a 40-something-year-old woman still pulling the shticks off that you fired in the 7 when you were age 7?
Vince said he watched it too until the very end. And
when everyone was dead?
Yeah, or no, I was going to say without spoiling it, the end was like the uplifting bit, unless, you're talking about the very end in the credits where it's like, look at all my dead friends part.
So anyway, Kid 90, Soleil Moon Frye, of course, who was Punky Brewster at age 7. She was a bit of a sensation, the child star sensation, and also apparently an avid camcorder enthusiast. She went everywhere with a camcorder as a child and a teenager, never got rid of voicemails, wrote in her diary all the time, but collected all of these videos growing up in California, being friends with all of these other child stars at the time. And in a time where there wasn't social media, when everybody didn't have a video camera in their pocket, recording everything, and everybody didn't have this version of themselves that comes out when someone sees a cell phone, everyone's like, doing their Instagram bullshit. And so she unearthed all this stuff after about 20 years of never looking at it. And revisited it, but then contacted all of these people that she used to hang out with and roll with at the time, the ones that were still alive, and show them this footage and talk about what it was like back in that time. And it was really fascinating stuff. Seeing these people. To me, the thing that was so fascinating about it, obviously. These child stars at the time. I think who's Zach Morris? What's his real name? From Saved by the Bell.
I could have told you until you asked me because he was in the lawyer show too.
Yeah. Anyway, he's Zach Morris. You guys all know who we're talking about.
Zach Morris.
But he said something that was real quotable. He was like, I've always kept my children out of show business because I don't believe that this industry is a place for kids. And Mark Paul Gosselaar, that guy. And that was, that's a powerful statement coming from someone who made his entire career in show business, and it just kind of talked about the difficulties of it, but at the same time they were all still children and they were doing teenage stuff. But the thing that I thought was really, really interesting is, I grew up in the 90s as well, and thinking about a world that wasn't documented in a way where people didn't, like, the version of people that you got was generally the version of people that you got. There wasn't this filtered version of the Instagram version of yourself. And I can't remember who said it. It might have been Mark in the film again, where he's like, nowadays, anytime you see a camera flash, you kind of get anxiety wondering if you're doing something out of context that someone might, put online and make you look really bad for. And he was like, when Soleil had her camera out, it was just like, well, that's Soleil with her camera, and nobody thought twice about it. So you see this really organic, raw, very real side of these people that thinking about my own life now, you don't even get to see that with people that you hang out with these days. Everybody's kind of got their version of themselves because we have video cameras everywhere.
Not me.
And
just me, bro.
Oh yeah,
You know that.
How about that? Like, I don't stream because on Twitch playing video games because I don't want nobody listening to all the stuff we're talking about. All these bad, dirty things that you're talking about on Sea of Thieves.
The only thing is because we just like have our like normal, regular conversations. You don't want, yeah.
Vince says Charlie Sheen was 29 when he hooked up with an 18-year-old Punky Brewster. I shivered when I heard he say this is draw. And I mean, yeah, you think about that, like, Charlie Sheen, how has he not got canceled yet? But it was just a really.
What do you mean? How has Charlie Sheen not been? He was like the first one.
No, but he's still got a career. Like
doing what?
He was on a couple of TV shows. He's still doing projects. I mean, we've tried to cancel him, but everybody's like, nah, it's just Charlie Sheen. It's just tiger's blood.
He has tiger blood.
He has tiger blood.
And Adonis DNA.
So, I mean, that guy, he is just always going to be there. Always winning. But it was a fascinating look, and then it took a really dark turn there for a while about drugs and substance abuse and suicide and like all this kind of stuff, and being a young girl who developed early in an industry that was very, which we now know, kind of disturbing at times, and seeing that side of it was pretty cool, and very interesting, and I was fascinated at her ability as a young teenager in a time where not everybody had video cameras, but to the stuff that she was filming and the way that she was filming was actually pretty amazing. Because I remember when I was like 10 or 12, if I was video something, it'd be really stupid, and not just like asking people the meaning of life, like, hey, we're 13, tell me your life philosophies. And Corey Feldman's like, well, I'm strung out and drugged up and my life philosophy is this, dude. And
but his philosophy was cool because he was like, just do whatever I want without hurting anybody,
and which is pretty rad.
Like, you know what, you go, Donatello.
He and his documentary, I've still never seen it, and I hear it's pretty dark as well.
But have you seen his Michael Jackson style performances?
Who hasn't?
Weird.
Oh man, it's painful to think about his.
You're talking about
his documentary
about
the industry and being like sexually abused as a child with him and Corey Haim. He had been shouting from the rooftops for years. It's one of the reasons that he kind of fell out of fame, because he was speaking out against it and nobody would listen to him, and everybody just kind of made fun of him, and which is really kind of sad and tragic. But anyway, Kid 90, honestly, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that didn't grow up in the 90s. You're probably just going to be like, why am I watching a bunch of old home movies? But if you grew up in the 90s and you were familiar with all these people and that world, and
like the kid that played Bastian in Neverending Story 2, or I guess he wasn't Bastian, he was just the next kid in the
Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah,
who killed himself. He was in Sequest DSV. It was a really interesting look, and it was only about an hour and 15-20 minutes, very short doc. But yes, as Vince says, it really scratched a nostalgic itch, and but I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that's not familiar with the subject matter to start with. So anyway, what did you think about it?
Yeah, or it's someone that grew up in that era and really, I guess, feels it and understands it. But I guess it was all really, that like star focused, because it's all New York, LA, that kind of a thing. No, I mean, I liked it, but it was all the stuff that I grew up with, too. So it was all things that were like, I know these people. These are the people that I grew up watching on TV and in movies and everything like that too. So it's good. A lot of it's a huge bummer. But it's good that she can pull a positive outcome out of it and really be able to talk about it and make.
And I had no idea she dated like the House of Pain guy for so long. Like,
yeah,
whoa, and he lives in Tulsa.
Yeah, turns out you
Like-
could be walking around Tulsa and just run into that dude.
Danny Boy, whatever his name was. Jump around, Tulsa. Who'da thunk? But he had to get away from the action, and he, Tulsa was a quiet place for him. And, weird stuff. Tulsa.
Yeah, and Vince points out, how they said at the beginning of the movie there was only so many really popular young actors in the industry at the time. It wasn't like something where you have Disney Channel just really taking off and
just trying
being
to
a star
print new
factory.
star clones.
Yeah, and Nickelodeon trying to imitate that. So, pre-MTV, Nickelodeon takeoff and Disney really getting the formula down for cranking out these actors that they can just use to print money.
Mm-hmm.
There I guess it was more of a limited grouping of people. So, and the fact that they were all kind of tight knit and did spend time together was kind of cool to see that kind of thing. Kind of a bummer that they didn't really look out for each other as much as you would hope that they would have. But it is what it is, I guess.
It is what it is.
It's an interesting thing to watch.
Well, other than movie reviews, I don't have a whole lot left on this episode. My brain has just been so scatterbrained.
I watched a relatively new movie. It was a Fangoria movie.
Wait, you watched a Fangoria movie?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah, I
you
did.
don't watch horror movies though.
Yeah, but it was like one of those like goofy, just like
Like Slither,
yeah,
Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of like that. It was called VFW, and it's about like the future is taken over by drugs because people do drugs. It's kind of like that, like Judge Dredd.
Okay.
Like the Carl Urban Dredd with the slow-mo. But
Mm-hmm.
in this, it was called Hype, and the people that got addicted to hype are called hypers. So it was basically like a zombie movie, but instead of zombies, they're drug addicts. And everyone has to hole up in this VFW where this girl who steals the drugs runs to.
Mm-hmm.
And all the drug kingpin guy keeps sending these waves of junkies after them to take out
So
these...
it is Judge Dredd / The
Kind of.
Tower
Yeah.
or The Raid.
Except that they stay in the one building,
Well, The Raid, the first Raid.
They climb the tower.
Yeah.
It's not like that, but it's about these all
If you've never seen the original Raid film, watch it. It's so good.
But it's it's about these all these old Vietnam veterans and one Korean War veteran, and they just get sucked into this situation that they don't want to be in. And there's one guy who's like fresh home from the military, and he walks into the VFW. But it has it's just a ton of like who's who of actors playing like all the old guys.
Like I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, that's such a good like ensemble cast.
And Stephen Lang is the main guy in it. But it's pretty good. It's super gory. Most of the things are just like people getting like their heads stomped into pulp and just goofy gore. And when someone gets hit by like a truck, you can see that it's obviously like a dummy. So
Okay, a pillow dummy.
yeah, it's just like an on purpose gore fest B movie.
Did you ever watch
type
Hobo
thing.
with a Shotgun?
I've never watched the whole thing.
I mean,
I
Hobo
really need to. It's been on my list.
You need to watch Hobo with a
forever.
Shotgun. I mean, the late great
Doesn't a dog
Rutger
get
Hauer.
hurt in the movie?
I
I think
probably
a
not.
dog
I don't
gets
know.
hurt, and that's
I
why I
mean,
didn't watch it.
But Rutger Hauer, one of his, I wouldn't call it a swan song or anything, but towards the end of his career, Hobo with a Shotgun, one of those like B movies, because there's a lot of. I guess it was really popular after about, what was it, Piranha 3D, and then what was the other one that not Birdemic. Birdemic was later in the
Snakes on a Plane?
Maybe Snakes on a Plane, where it's just like everybody was trying to jump sharks so hard and make a B movie that became a cult phenomenon. And there's something, and we've talked about this on the show before, kind of like Troma Studios. Like Troma is bad for bad's sake, but only so many Troma films actually are pretty amazing. And it was in the early days of Troma when they were just like making shit to make shit. But like Hobo with a Shotgun was one of those rare ones where they were trying to make a movie.
Is it a Troma film?
No, but it felt like early Troma.
I was like, the production on it looks way too good to be Troma.
Because those cult movies, like when you're trying so hard to make it bad, then it just is bad. But you know, a good movie like that has to have a level of passion and commitment from the crew. They're like, we're making something that's meaningful and important, and they have to have that faith and that belief in it, because you can see it. You're like, man, they really cared about this, and it sucks so bad, and that it becomes awesome.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, some of these movies where it's just like Sharknado 25 in space. And you're like, okay, yeah, we got it. You have a budget. You're trying to make it stupid, and it just is bad. It's just not good and not watchable.
Well,
I don't
VFW
care
was
how
the
many 90210 guys you put in it.
opposite of that. Is actually, it was entertaining. It was pretty good. You know, it's definitely dumb. And it's the over-the-top gore and ridiculous type thing. But it's worth a watch kind of a thing, for sure. But it's out there.
It's out there.
And it's
VFW.
fairly new. It's one of those things that, yeah, you're only going to see it streaming kind of a deal. Not really a movie theater movie type thing. But
No. What?
yeah, Fangoria.
No.
Fangoria produced movie, not
Gosh, your
making it to
mother.
the theater. Yeah.
Right on. Well, anyway, that's all I got this week. I mean, we hit our hour mark. Gotta get out of here. But this guy's got to get to work. I got some stuff I got to do. But maybe next week we'll be talking about Snyder Cut if we get a chance to see it. You know, time is limited. It's not in a theater. Who knows? But there are, you know, more movies coming out in theaters this week. The Courier is coming out this week with Benedict Cumberbatch. It's about a Cold War spy and his Russian source trying to put an end to the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's coming out not necessarily nationwide because not all theaters are open, but pretty wide release.
More and more. California and New York are open. So
yeah, they're getting there. Slowly things are opening up. And thanks to you, Counterexample, in the comments, saying thank you over on Twitch. Thanks to everybody that always joins up in the comments. Good to see.
Even if you're making fun of me, Vince.
Yeah, everybody can jump in on the fun of making fun of Jake. It's everybody can do it.
No. That's it. That's the show. Bye. Hope you find your dad.
Check us out on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. Download this podcast wherever podcasts are downloaded. We should have it uploaded by tomorrow morning. And tell your friends, like and subscribe. As always, I'm Bo, the boom operator.
And I'm Jake the Grip.
And we'll see you guys next week.